If you landed on this message, it wasn't chance. It was the universe placing a mirror in front of you. For years, you've been told that transformation is supposed to be hard, that growth requires endless effort, discipline, sacrifice, and suffering. But here's the shocking truth. You've been overcomplicating the most natural ability your consciousness already possesses: quantum shifting. Quantum shifting isn't something you need to learn. It's something you need to remember. You've been doing it unconsciously every single day of your life. Every time your mood flips in an instant. Every time you change your mind and your entire day unfolds differently. Every time you suddenly see the same situation in a completely new light, you've quantum shifted. The problem isn't that you can't do it. The problem is that no one ever showed you how to notice what you're already doing. So you've been shifting randomly instead of intentionally. Think about it. You wake up in a terrible mood, but one small event, a song, a conversation, a memory snaps you into joy. What happened? You didn't force reality to change. You shifted into a different version of yourself who was already capable of joy. The external world looks the same, but the version of you experiencing it is different. That is quantum shifting in its simplest form. The reason you're here, right now, reading these words, is because your soul is done with unconscious shifting. You're ready for mastery. You're tired of hit or miss techniques, tired of waiting for random coincidences, tired of feeling like reality only changes when it wants to. Something inside you knows there's a way to consciously direct this process with precision, to choose which version of yourself you experience rather than leaving it up to chance. And that something inside you? It's right. Your higher self has been orchestrating every breadcrumb that led you to this exact moment. The books you stumbled across, the videos you couldn't stop watching, the synchronicities that made you question whether reality itself was trying to get your attention. All of them were preparation for this revelation. This is the moment where you stop chasing transformation and start embodying it. The cosmic joke is that quantum shifting is easier than walking, easier than breathing, easier than thinking. Every particle in existence is already shifting between infinite possibilities until consciousness chooses one to experience. You are that consciousness, which means you've been quantum shifting the entire universe since the moment you were born. You just didn't realize you had the steering wheel in your hands. Now imagine what happens when you take control. Imagine waking up tomorrow and knowing that you don't have to force your reality into shape. You can simply step into the version of yourself where the reality you desire already exists. That's what this journey is about. Not adding more effort, more rules, or more complexity, but stripping everything down to the elegant simplicity of who you really are, a conscious shifter of realities. So if you've ever felt like life was harder than it should be, if you've ever sensed there must be a faster way to transform than years of struggle, consider this your confirmation. You were right. You were never broken, never lacking, never waiting for permission. You've always been quantum shifting. The only difference is that from this moment forward, you'll finally know how to do it on purpose. Pause for a moment and think back on your own life. How many times have you experienced a sudden shift that felt almost supernatural, even though nothing external actually changed? You're lost in worry, and then a single word from a friend snaps you into clarity. You're weighed down by sadness, and then a memory bubbles up that floods you with joy. Or you're wrestling with a decision, and in one instant the confusion evaporates and you simply know what to do. These aren't random mood swings. They're evidence of something far more profound happening beneath the surface. In those moments, you're not just feeling better, you're literally stepping into a different version of yourself, one that already held the perspective, the emotion, or the clarity you were seeking. The world outside didn't shift, but your position within reality did. That is a quantum shift in action. Most people dismiss these experiences as coincidence or psychology. They assume it's just the brain regulating itself, a trick of chemicals or habit. But deep down, you've always sensed it was something more. You've always known that these moments carried weight, that they hinted at a hidden mechanism shaping your entire life. And you were right. These small shifts are glimpses of the larger truth. You have been navigating parallel versions of yourself all along. Think about how differently your day unfolds depending on your state of mind. On days when you wake up inspired, doors open, opportunities appear, conversations sparkle. On days when you wake up heavy, even simple tasks feel like obstacles. It's not that the universe suddenly loves you more one day and less the next. It's that you shifted into a version of reality that resonated with your internal frequency. The outside mirrors the inside because the inside chose which track of reality to walk. Every decision you've ever made created a micro shift. Choosing to call one person instead of another. Saying yes instead of no. Even the split-second choice to smile at a stranger or ignore them launches you into parallel outcomes, each with its own ripple effects. The majority of people remain blind to this process, believing life is linear, believing their path is fixed. But you, whether you knew it or not, have been quantum shifting with every breath. And here's the key insight. The reason your reality sometimes feels unpredictable, chaotic, or inconsistent is because you've been shifting without awareness. You've been steering without realizing you were at the wheel. Sometimes you land in timelines where things flow beautifully. Other times you drop into versions filled with resistance. It looks like good luck or bad luck, but it's really just unconscious navigation. The fact that you've been drawn to these words proves you're ready to leave randomness behind. Your consciousness has matured to the point where it refuses to be satisfied with accidental shifts. You're ready to master the steering wheel. You're ready to stop asking, why does life keep happening to me, and start declaring, I decide which version of me I live as. So look at your own history not as a chain of random events, but as a breadcrumb trail showing you what you've always been capable of. Every sudden change of mood, every flash of clarity, every perfectly timed coincidence, they were all whispers from your higher self, reminders that shifting is your natural state. Now the whisper has become a roar, and the universe is asking, will you finally recognize what's been happening all along? Now let's get real. You've noticed things in your life that logic can't explain, haven't you? The strange sense of déjà vu, as if you've already lived this exact moment. The dream so vivid it felt like you were living in another life, with memories that didn't belong to this timeline. The uncanny synchronicities. Thinking of someone seconds before they text you. Stumbling onto the exact book, video, or message you needed at the exact right time. These aren't random events. They're signs that you've already been quantum shifting without realizing it. Start with synchronicities. Ever notice how when you're in a certain mood or vibration, reality seems to rearrange itself to match? You think about a new career path and suddenly meet someone in that field. You ask the universe for clarity, and the next day a stranger says something that feels like a direct answer. Synchronicities are the universe's way of showing you that your consciousness is aligning with a parallel track of reality. They're breadcrumbs pointing to the fact that you are already moving between dimensions. Then there are your dreams. Most people dismiss them as random firings of the brain, but you know better. Some dreams feel so real, so detailed, so emotionally charged that they linger for days. That's because you weren't imagining. You were literally experiencing alternate versions of yourself in parallel realities. Your dream state is free from the rigid rules of waking consciousness, so it can wander into other timelines more easily. Every time you wake up remembering a life that isn't yours, or is yours in another dimension, you're witnessing your natural quantum mobility. Technology gives it away too. Think of the times your phone rang just as you thought of a person, or when your playlist shuffled to the perfect song that described exactly what you were going through. Maybe you've had your computer glitch out in ways that made no sense until you noticed it always happened when you were in a certain emotional state. Technology responds to consciousness because it's bathed in the same quantum field you are. When you shift, it reacts. And what about time? Haven't you felt it bending around you lately? Minutes dragging on forever when nothing seems to move forward, then whole weeks vanishing in a blink. Sometimes you're late, but somehow everything rearranges so you arrive exactly on time. Sometimes you need more hours, and mysteriously, the day stretches to accommodate. These distortions are proof that you've been slipping in and out of timelines where time itself runs differently. Your body has been giving you signals too. Waves of tingling energy, sudden surges of vitality, or that odd sensation of vibrating at a higher frequency than the room around you. That isn't just stress or just adrenaline. Those are the physical sensations of your cells receiving information from parallel versions of yourself. Your biology is literally catching up with your shifting awareness. And finally, look at your relationships. Haven't you noticed how you feel like a completely different person depending on who you're around? Some people bring out your playful, creative self. Others trigger the insecure, defensive version of you. This isn't just social adaptation. It's your consciousness shifting to the parallel version of you that best matches their energy. Relationships are living mirrors showing you which version of yourself you're choosing in that moment. If you've experienced even one of these signs, then congratulations, you already know how to quantum shift. Not in theory, not as a belief, but as lived reality. The difference is that until now, you've been doing it randomly. From this point forward, you're going to learn how to do it deliberately. Because once you see the signs clearly, you can no longer tell yourself it's just coincidence. You're not broken. You're not powerless. You're not waiting for miracles. You are the miracle, and these signs are your proof. Let's strip away the mystery for a moment and talk science. Because what we're exploring here isn't just metaphysical philosophy, it's grounded in the very mechanics of how reality functions at the quantum level. Quantum physics has already proven something astonishing. The act of observation shapes reality. This is called the observer effect. Subatomic particles don't exist in one fixed state until they are observed. Instead, they remain in a cloud of infinite possibilities, a wave of potential, until consciousness collapses them into one tangible outcome. In other words, reality doesn't simply exist out there waiting for you to stumble into it. Your awareness is actively choosing which possibility solidifies into your experience. That's quantum shifting in action. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Scientists like Dr. Amit Goswami and researchers at HeartMath Institute have shown that when your mind and heart operate in coherence, when your thoughts, emotions, and intentions align, you create a measurable field that influences probability itself. This isn't woo-woo, it's measurable biology. Your heart rhythm literally synchronizes with your brain waves, creating what's called cardiac coherence. And in that state, your consciousness isn't fragmented or distracted. It becomes a unified, coherent observer capable of selecting higher-order realities with precision. Ever wonder why sometimes your manifestations work instantly and other times they feel impossible? The difference isn't effort, it's coherence. When you're scattered, stressed, or doubting, your consciousness sends mixed signals to the quantum field. But when you're clear, calm, and aligned, the field has no choice but to respond coherently to your intentions. Then there's the principle of non-local correlation. Physicists have proven that two particles can influence each other instantaneously across vast distances without any physical connection. Einstein himself called it spooky action at a distance. What does that mean for you? It means your consciousness is not confined to your skull. It exists as part of this non-local field connected to everything. That's why synchronicities appear instantly across space and time when your vibration shifts. Reality itself reorganizes in direct response. Carl Jung sensed this when he described synchronicity as meaningful coincidence. But now we understand the mechanics. Synchronicity is proof that your consciousness is entangled with the universe. Every time you notice the right person showing up at the right moment, every time the perfect opportunity seems to fall into your lap, it's not chance. It's your awareness collapsing probability waves into alignment with your inner state. And here's where ancient wisdom collides perfectly with modern science. Hindu philosophy calls it dharma, the natural order guiding everything into balance. Taoist sages called it wu wei, effortless action in harmony with the flow of existence. Today, quantum theorists describe it as resonant attraction, the tuning of your field to the reality that matches your frequency. Different words, same truth. When you align with your authentic self, the quantum field bends around you. This explains why time itself feels elastic when you're in flow. Physicists describe this as stepping into the eternal now, a dimension where past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. When you're coherent, you're no longer chained to linear cause and effect. You're surfing the quantum field directly, selecting from infinite timelines as effortlessly as flipping through channels on a TV. And perhaps most groundbreaking of all is morphic resonance, a theory proposed by biologist Rupert Sheldrake. It suggests that every pattern of consciousness leaves an imprint in a larger collective field. Every shift you make doesn't just affect you. It creates ripples that make it easier for others to shift too. Your personal mastery becomes part of humanity's evolutionary database, accelerating the awakening for everyone. So when people ask, isn't quantum shifting just imagination? The answer is no. Your imagination is the interface with the field of infinite possibilities. Every time you imagine a new version of yourself, you're glimpsing an actual timeline that exists in the quantum field. The only difference between fantasy and reality is how coherent your attention becomes. Science, mysticism, and lived experience all converge on this point. You're not a powerless observer trapped in a fixed reality. You're a conscious participant in a responsive universe. And once you understand these mechanics, you'll never again mistake coincidence for chance. You'll know that every synchronicity, every time distortion, every intuitive flash is the quantum field whispering, you are the one choosing reality. If quantum shifting is so natural, why aren't more people doing it consciously? Why do so many try every technique, visualizations, affirmations, elaborate rituals, yet still feel stuck in the same repeating patterns? The answer is simple, but it cuts deep. Most people fail because they try too hard. The biggest trap is effort. Society has conditioned us to believe that transformation must be difficult, that results come only from grinding, struggling, and pushing harder. So people approach quantum shifting like climbing a mountain. They strain, they force, they obsess over whether they're doing it right. But here's the truth. Shifting doesn't respond to force. It responds to coherence. The harder you try, the more you reinforce the belief that you're not already aligned. And that belief keeps you locked in the same reality you're desperate to escape.
Then comes the trap of control. The ego loves to micromanage outcomes. It wants guarantees. It wants to know exactly how and when results will arrive. But quantum shifting doesn't work like ordering from a menu. It's not about bending the universe to your will. It's about aligning so deeply with your authentic frequency that the universe naturally presents the reality that matches it. When you demand control, you collapse your field into a tiny, rigid possibility space. When you release control, you open to infinite timelines that your mind could never have predicted. The third trap is overthinking. Most people live in their heads, analyzing, doubting, running mental loops. They approach shifting like a math problem that needs solving. But thinking doesn't create shifts. Attention does. The quantum field doesn't care about the complexity of your thoughts. It cares about the quality of your awareness. Overthinking scatters your energy across multiple timelines, weakening your signal. Presence consolidates your power, allowing you to actually move into a new reality instead of endlessly debating whether it's possible. This is why so many manifestation techniques backfire. They keep people trapped in mental effort, repeating affirmations, forcing visualizations, obsessing over outcomes. while the real secret slips through their fingers. You've probably felt it yourself. The harder you tried, the more elusive results became. And yet the biggest shifts in your life likely happened during moments when you let go, when you stopped caring so much, when you surrendered, when you relaxed into being. Here's the paradox. You've been quantum shifting your entire life, but unconsciously. The moment you decide to do it consciously, your ego hijacks the process, demanding proof, control, and guarantees. That's why so many people burn out, frustrated, believing the whole thing doesn't work. Not because it's false, but because they approached it from the wrong level of consciousness. Think of it like water. Try to grab it tightly and it slips through your fingers. Cup your hands gently and it stays. Quantum shifting works the same way. Force makes it vanish. Relaxed coherence makes it flow. So if you failed before, understand this. You weren't failing. You were being trained. Every frustration was a lesson in what doesn't work. Every failed attempt was proof that complexity isn't the answer. The real mastery begins when you stop trying to control the process and start trusting the simplicity of it. Because here's the cosmic joke. The thing you've been chasing with effort has been chasing you with ease. All you had to do was stop running long enough to let it catch you. After years of overcomplication, here's the revelation that will change everything. Quantum shifting is simple. In fact, it's so simple that your logical mind will want to dismiss it. We've been conditioned to believe that power requires complexity, that extraordinary results must demand extraordinary effort. But the universe doesn't work that way. The most profound truths are always the simplest, and quantum shifting is no exception. Think about children. A child can move from despair to delight in a matter of seconds. One moment they're crying, the next they're laughing, and nothing external has changed. Adults call it immaturity. Mystics call it wisdom. That's quantum shifting in its purest form. Children haven't yet been conditioned to lock themselves into a single rigid version of reality. Their consciousness flows effortlessly between parallel timelines, exploring different states of being with no resistance. Now contrast that with adults. We cling to our stories, our identities, our problems as if they're absolute. We've been taught that consistency equals stability, but in truth, this rigidity is what traps us in repetitive loops. Shifting isn't difficult. It's our resistance that makes it seem difficult. When you stop gripping so tightly to what is, your awareness naturally slides into what else. That sliding is the shift. Here's the key. Quantum shifting happens in relaxation, not effort. It's like floating in water. If you thrash, you sink. If you relax, you rise. When your attention softens, when your body lets go, when your mind stops forcing, your consciousness begins sampling alternate timelines without obstruction. You've already felt this in fleeting moments, those times when you surrendered and suddenly clarity, solutions, or opportunities appeared out of nowhere. That wasn't luck, that was simplicity in action. Even science confirms this. Brain scans show that in states of deep relaxation, the brain enters alpha and theta waves, the very frequencies associated with creativity, intuition, and flow. These are the states where the boundaries between realities thin and your awareness can slip into new patterns. No forcing, no struggle, just being. The secret is curiosity, not desperation, not control, curiosity. When you approach reality with an open, childlike wonder, what else could this mean? What other version of me exists right now? You create what quantum theorists call dimensional permeability. Your consciousness becomes fluid, able to move between timelines without resistance. It's not about trying harder, it's about allowing more. So, what does this look like in practice? It looks like noticing when you're pushing too much and choosing to let go. It looks like replacing "how do I make this happen" with "I wonder what it would feel like if it already had." It looks like giving yourself permission to be curious rather than judgmental about your experience. Quantum shifting isn't a skill you need to acquire. It's a capacity you already use every day. Every time you change your mood, every time you see something from a new perspective, every time you allow joy to replace frustration. The only difference is that now you'll do it consciously. And when you finally remember how simple it is, when you stop interfering with the natural flow of your own consciousness, something miraculous happens. Shifting becomes as effortless as breathing. And just like breathing, the more you relax into it, the more life flows through you with grace and ease. Here's the truth that will surprise you. You've been quantum shifting your entire life. Even if you've never heard the term before, even if you thought it was something reserved for mystics or advanced practitioners, you've been doing it unconsciously since the moment you were born. The real breakthrough comes when you learn to recognize the signs. Because once you see them clearly, you can stop doubting whether this is real and start directing the process intentionally. The first sign is instant perspective shifts. Have you ever been upset about something, then suddenly, for no logical reason, you felt different? Maybe the problem that seemed overwhelming just minutes ago suddenly looked manageable or even irrelevant. Nothing external changed, yet your inner world transformed. That wasn't a mood swing. It was your consciousness slipping into a parallel version of yourself who related to the situation differently. That is a micro shift in action. The second sign is time distortion. You've noticed it. Hours vanishing in what feels like minutes when you're in flow, or minutes dragging on endlessly when you're stuck in resistance. This isn't just psychology. It's evidence that your awareness is sampling different timelines where time flows at different rates. Quantum physics calls this stepping into the eternal now. Your consciousness knows how to move across these streams naturally. You're just starting to notice it. The third sign is synchronicity overload. You think of someone and they text you. You wonder about a topic and the answer shows up in a podcast, a book, or a random conversation. At first, you might dismiss this as coincidence, but the frequency and precision become impossible to ignore. These synchronicities aren't random. They're markers of your consciousness tuning into a new vibrational reality, where inner intention and outer events begin to line up seamlessly. The fourth sign is physical sensations. Maybe you felt sudden tingling, buzzing, or a wave of energy moving through your body. Maybe you've had surges of energy for no reason or experienced subtle vibrations before sleep. These aren't anomalies. They're your nervous system recalibrating as your consciousness shifts between dimensional states. Scientists call this biofield activity. Mystics call it energy awakening. Either way, it's confirmation that something is happening beneath the surface. The fifth sign is dreams that feel more real than waking life. You've had them. Dreams where you're living a completely different version of yourself, making different choices, experiencing alternate outcomes. Those aren't random firings of the brain. They're glimpses into parallel timelines that your dream consciousness can access more easily because it isn't limited by linear logic. The more vivid and meaningful your dreams become, the more your awareness is practicing the art of shifting. The fifth sign is reality glitches. Have you ever noticed a song playing that perfectly matches your mood, electronics glitching when you're emotionally charged, or events unfolding in a way that feels scripted just for you? Technology, music, even strangers are often the mediums through which your higher self signals a shift is underway. Pay attention. What most dismiss as accidents are often the universe winking at you. And finally, the most important sign. You're here, drawn to this message. Out of millions of videos, millions of distractions, you found yourself listening to this exact teaching at this exact time. That's not chance. That's synchronicity pointing to something deeper. Your soul is ready for conscious mastery of what you've been doing unconsciously all along. So pause for a moment. Look back at your life. The flashes of clarity, the distortions of time, the coincidences too perfect to be random, the dreams that haunted you with meaning. These weren't random events. They were breadcrumbs, proof that your consciousness is already quantum shifting. You're not starting something new. You're remembering something eternal. One of the most powerful doorways into understanding quantum shifting has been with you your entire life, your dreams.
Most people dismiss them as random stories the brain creates while it processes memories. But what if I told you that your dreams are not random at all? What if they are windows, brief glimpses into parallel versions of yourself who are living out realities just as real as the one you're experiencing right now?
Think about it. You've had dreams where you were in places you've never visited, speaking languages you've never studied, mastering skills you've never practiced. How is that possible? Neuroscience struggles to explain it, but from a quantum perspective, the answer is clear. Your dream state gives you access to alternate timelines where those versions of you already exist. In those timelines, you did study that language, you did develop that skill, you did live in that city. Dreams are your consciousness sampling these alternate realities while your logical mind is offline. This is why dreams often feel more vivid and emotionally charged than waking life. In the dream state, you aren't limited by linear logic or the belief that reality is fixed. Your awareness is free to wander across dimensions, gathering insights and experiences from other versions of yourself. That's why certain dreams linger long after you wake up. They carry the energetic imprint of a parallel self trying to merge its wisdom into your current timeline. You've also experienced what mystics call recurring dream patterns. Maybe you've dreamed of being chased, flying, drowning, or finding hidden doors. These aren't random fears or fantasies, they're symbolic messages from parallel selves showing you what unresolved patterns look like across dimensions. When you face those themes in a dream, you're being given an opportunity to shift your waking reality by integrating lessons from those other lives. Even more mysterious are lucid dreams, moments when you realize you're dreaming and suddenly take control. This isn't just a fun trick, it's training. Lucid dreaming is your higher self giving you practice in conscious quantum shifting. By learning to direct your dream environment, you're preparing your awareness to direct waking reality with the same precision. It's no coincidence that many ancient traditions treated lucid dreaming as sacred initiation into higher consciousness. Notice, too, how solutions often arrive through dreams. You fall asleep worrying about a problem and you wake up with clarity. Sometimes it's literal, a clear answer. Sometimes it's symbolic, a strange image that, when reflected upon, provides the insight you need. This is your parallel selves feeding information into your current timeline. They've already lived through what you're experiencing, and they're handing you the blueprint. Here's the shocking part. Your higher self doesn't see these dream versions as separate from you. They are you. Every dream character, every alternate life, every impossible scenario is another angle of your consciousness exploring reality. The more you pay attention to your dreams, the more you'll notice direct connections between them and your waking synchronicities. That's not imagination, it's evidence of your multidimensionality. So tonight, as you close your eyes, don't think of dreams as fantasies. Think of them as portals. Pay attention, write them down. Treat them like transmissions from your parallel selves. Because the truth is, you've been quantum shifting every night of your life. You just haven't realized it. If you've ever felt like time was slipping through your fingers, stretching endlessly, or collapsing into nothing, you've already touched the deeper mechanics of quantum shifting. Time distortion isn't just a psychological trick. It's one of the clearest signs that your consciousness is moving between realities. And once you understand how it works, you'll never look at clocks, calendars, or deadlines the same way again. Think about those moments when hours vanish in what feels like minutes. You're absorbed in a creative project, in conversation, or in a state of pure flow, and suddenly you realize the entire afternoon has disappeared. From a conventional perspective, you might say you lost track of time. But from a quantum perspective, your awareness simply shifted into a reality track where time flows differently. You were sampling a parallel timeline calibrated to expansion, creativity, and timeless presence. Now consider the opposite. Times when minutes feel like hours, waiting in line, stuck in traffic, sitting through something uninspiring. Why does time drag in those states? Because your consciousness has aligned with a denser timeline, one where energy moves slowly, where resistance keeps the experience heavy and elongated.
In both cases, the same clock ticks forward, but your inner sense of time reveals which timeline your awareness has selected. Here's the radical truth. Time is not linear. Physicists have shown us that past, present, and future exist simultaneously in what they call the block universe. What you experience as time passing is actually your consciousness sliding across different slices of this eternal structure. The present moment isn't a moving point on a timeline. It's the only thing that's real. The past is simply the set of timelines you've already observed. The future is the infinite range of possibilities waiting for your attention. This is why mystics and sages for thousands of years have spoken about the eternal now. It isn't poetic metaphor, it's physics. When you're fully present, not caught in regrets of yesterday or anxieties about tomorrow, your consciousness touches the timeless field where all possibilities exist at once. And from this state, shifting between realities becomes effortless. You've already experienced this without realizing it. That day when everything seemed to line up perfectly, traffic lights turning green, conversations flowing, synchronicities cascading. It felt like time itself was on your side. What actually happened is that your awareness tuned in to a timeline where your inner rhythm and the universe's rhythm were synchronized. You weren't fighting time, you were dancing with it. And here's the most extraordinary part. Once you stop treating time as a rigid prison and start experiencing it as a flexible field, you realize you're not bound by the clock at all. You can stretch time when you need it. You can accelerate it when you're ready to leap. You can even bypass it entirely by stepping sideways into a timeline where what you desire has already unfolded. Time distortion isn't a problem to fix. It's an invitation to remember. Every strange expansion, every rapid collapse, every surreal déjà vu is your higher self whispering, you're not trapped in linear time. You are navigating eternity. So the next time you feel time behaving strangely, don't dismiss it. Pay attention. That's your consciousness reminding you that you're already quantum shifting. And the more you embrace the eternal now, the more reality begins to bend in your favor. Your body is not just a vessel carrying you through this life. It's a living instrument, finely tuned to detect changes in your consciousness. Every time you quantum shift, your body feels it first. The signals are subtle at times, overwhelming at others, but once you learn to interpret them, you'll realize your physical form has been confirming your multidimensional nature all along. Have you noticed sudden waves of tingling energy, almost like static electricity moving through your skin? Or moments where your entire body feels as if it's vibrating, even though nothing external is happening. These aren't random sensations. They are your nervous system recalibrating as your consciousness slides into a different timeline. Think of it like tuning an instrument. Your body hums with the new frequency before your mind even notices the shift. Another common sign is energy surges and crashes. Some days you feel electric, unstoppable, like you could run for miles without tiring. Other days you feel heavy, drained, as if gravity itself has intensified. From a linear view, this seems like mood swings or lifestyle imbalance. But in truth, your cells are receiving different streams of information depending on which parallel reality you're aligning with. In one timeline, your body might be carrying old fatigue. In another, it's operating at peak vitality. Even your heartbeat and breath respond instantly to shifts. Pay attention the next time your environment changes suddenly. Your pulse might quicken, your breath might deepen, or you may feel an inexplicable calm settle in. These micro adjustments are your body aligning to a new energetic landscape. The HeartMath Institute has shown that heart rhythms synchronize with changes in consciousness, proving that your body is directly linked to your quantum state. Your body also reveals shifts through temperature fluctuations. Perhaps you felt an unexpected flush of heat during meditation or a chill sweep over you during a moment of clarity. These are not coincidences. Heat often signals energy burning through resistance as you move into a lighter frequency. Cold often signals the nervous system grounding as your awareness expands. Either way, your body is acting as the translator between your physical reality and your quantum state. And let's not forget the buzzing in your head before sleep, the sensation of floating during deep rest, or the jolts of energy that wake you up at night. For years, people have thought of these as sleep disturbances or random neurological glitches. But the deeper truth is that your consciousness uses sleep as one of the most powerful gateways to shift timelines. Your body prepares for that journey by loosening its hold on fixed reality. Even your digestive system, immune responses, and skin reflect shifts. Sudden food cravings, unusual sensitivities, rapid healing of small injuries, these are not accidents. Your cells are aligning with alternate bodies from parallel realities, sometimes adopting traits and strengths from versions of yourself you haven't yet fully embodied. Modern biology can't fully explain this, but quantum biology is beginning to show that DNA itself is capable of responding to shifts in consciousness. The key is awareness. Most people dismiss these signals as random or inconvenient. But once you recognize them as feedback from your higher self, you stop resisting. You start listening, and your body becomes a trusted ally in navigating reality. So the next time you feel tingles, surges, chills, or inexplicable energy shifts, don't brush them off. Whisper to yourself, "This is my body confirming the shift." Because the truth is, you've never been just a passenger in your body. You've been a multi-dimensional traveler, and your body has been your compass all along. Have you ever noticed how different people bring out completely different versions of you? Around one friend, you feel wise and expansive, as if you can see life's bigger picture. Around another, you shrink, repeating old patterns you thought you had left behind. With a lover, you might feel like your most alive, radiant self, while with a coworker, you feel small, frustrated, or reactive. This isn't just social adaptation. These are signs that your relationships are acting as quantum mirrors, reflecting which version of yourself you are aligning with in that moment. Here's the hidden truth. Every person in your life is a portal to a different parallel timeline. When you spend time with them, your consciousness tunes in to the version of you that best matches their frequency. That's why you feel like a different person depending on who you're with. You literally are. Your awareness is shifting into alternate versions of yourself that exist in resonance with their energy. Think about it, that friend who always makes you laugh? They're pulling you into a timeline where joy and playfulness are dominant. The relative who always criticizes you? They're keeping you tethered to a version of yourself who doubts your worth. The mentor who inspires you? They're reflecting the timeline where your highest potential is already alive within you. Relationships don't just influence you emotionally. They help select which reality track you walk each day. This is why certain connections feel magnetic and others feel draining. It's not about good or bad people. It's about which version of yourself you become in their presence. Some souls are catalysts, activating higher frequencies and expanded timelines. Others unconsciously reinforce your limitations because they're vibrating with the version of you that's still stuck. Both are essential. The uplifting ones show you who you can be. The difficult ones show you where you're still unconsciously shifting into lower realities. Romantic relationships are the most powerful mirrors of all. Ever notice how being in love makes the world look different? Food tastes better, colors seem brighter, opportunities appear everywhere. That's not just hormones. That's your consciousness quantum shifting into a timeline where love is the dominant frequency. The other person acts as a mirror, reflecting your highest vibrational potential back to you. Conversely, heartbreak pulls you into timelines of contraction, teaching you how to reclaim your power without external validation. Here's the breakthrough. Once you realize relationships are mirrors, you stop blaming others for how you feel. You understand that no one is making you small, angry, radiant, or joyful. They're simply reflecting the version of yourself you're unconsciously selecting. This awareness gives you choice. You can thank difficult people for showing you where you still need to shift. You can cherish supportive people for amplifying your higher timelines. Most importantly, you can begin to hold yourself as your own mirror. Instead of waiting for someone else to activate your greatness, you can choose to align with that version of yourself directly. Relationships then become celebrations, not dependencies. They stop being battles for validation and start being collaborations in consciousness. So the next time someone triggers you or inspires you or awakens a version of yourself you didn't know was there, pause. Look deeper. That's not just a person in front of you.
That's a quantum mirror showing you the multidimensional truth of who you really are. Most people look back at their struggles and label them as mistakes, wasted years, or cruel detours. But what if every challenge, every heartbreak, every failed attempt was actually hidden training, preparing your consciousness for the mastery you're stepping into now? What if nothing was ever wasted?
Think about it. Every time a manifestation technique didn't work, you learned discernment. You discover the difference between forcing outcomes and allowing them. Each disappointment was a lesson in precision, showing you that not every reality is meant to be yours, and not every desire comes from your authentic self. Your difficult relationships weren't punishments. They were quantum mirrors, reflecting the exact versions of yourself you needed to outgrow. That friend who triggered your insecurities, they were helping you see the parallel self stuck in limitation. That partner who broke your heart, they were showing you the timeline where you gave away your power. Without those painful mirrors, you'd never know where your attention was unconsciously locked. Even your periods of waiting, the seasons where nothing seemed to move forward, were essential. In those moments of stillness, your quantum field was recalibrating. Your higher self was aligning your frequency so you could hold the weight of bigger possibilities without collapsing back into old patterns. From the outside, it looked like stagnation. From the quantum perspective, it was integration. Your doubts and skepticism also served a sacred role. Every time you questioned whether these concepts were real, you sharpened your discernment. You trained your consciousness to distinguish between authentic quantum experiences and fantasies of the ego. Without that training, you wouldn't be able to trust the subtle signals your soul is sending you now. It's like a pianist practicing endless scales before playing symphonies, or an athlete training in silence before the championship moment. Your life has been building the muscle memory of consciousness. You've been preparing for quantum shifting not through glamorous breakthroughs, but through the grit of everyday struggles. And here's the empowering truth. The fact that you're even resonating with these words means you passed the test. The struggles didn't break you. They shaped you. The waiting didn't waste you. It refined you. The failures didn't define you. They trained you. Now, every challenge behind you becomes fuel for mastery. Every difficulty was a rehearsal for the reality you're stepping into now. You were never off track. You were being trained by the universe itself to handle the freedom you're about to claim. So instead of resenting your past, honor it. See it as your initiation, because hidden inside every struggle was the preparation for the multidimensional creator you're becoming. And that realization changes everything. Look around at the world right now. Political systems are cracking, economies are unstable, technology is advancing at breakneck speed, and global crises seem to multiply faster than solutions can be found. On the surface, it looks chaotic. But beneath the turbulence, something extraordinary is happening. Humanity is in the middle of a global quantum shift, and whether you realize it or not, you're part of it. Every individual breakthrough contributes to the collective field. When you learn to shift into higher timelines, when you embody coherence instead of fear, you're not just changing your personal reality, you're anchoring new possibilities for the entire species. Quantum researchers call this morphic resonance. Once a critical mass of people embody a new frequency, it becomes easier for everyone else to access it. Think about it. Just a few centuries ago, the idea of flying through the sky in machines seemed impossible. Then, once the Wright brothers demonstrated flight, that reality became part of the collective template, and suddenly humanity leapt forward into the age of aviation. The same is happening now with consciousness. Your ability to quantum shift is not just personal growth, it's pioneering work that future generations will take for granted. This is why your struggles have felt so intense. You're not only processing your own limitations, you're also helping to dissolve collective patterns that have trapped humanity for millennia: scarcity, separation, conflict, and fear. When you break free from those loops in your own life, you weaken them in the collective field. Your liberation becomes humanity's liberation. And here's where it gets profound. Every synchronicity, every breakthrough, every shift you embody is part of a global orchestra of awakening. Souls across the planet are activating simultaneously, often without even knowing each other, yet all working toward the same end. We're entangled at the quantum level, creating ripples that accelerate each other's evolution. This is why you sometimes feel a deep responsibility, even urgency, without knowing why. It's because your higher self remembers the contract. You volunteered to incarnate at this exact time, to help bridge the collapse of the old paradigm and the birth of the new one. You are not here by accident. You're part of the first wave of consciousness architects. So, the next time the world feels heavy, remember this. You're not powerless in the face of global events. Every shift you make internally, every time you choose alignment over fear, every moment you embody coherence, you're contributing to humanity's transition into a higher timeline. This isn't just about your personal evolution anymore. It's about anchoring a collective future where humanity finally remembers its true multidimensional nature. And the fact that you're here, absorbing these words, is proof that you've already accepted your role in this extraordinary transformation. This is the moment everything has been building toward. You've journeyed through the recognition of synchronicity, the revelation of quantum shifting, the understanding that your struggles were hidden training, and the realization that you are part of a global transformation. Now comes the choice point, the crossroad, where you decide whether this knowledge remains theory or becomes the living foundation of your reality. Here's the truth. Nothing changes until you act. Awareness with action is just entertainment. Inspiration without commitment is just another fleeting feeling. The universe doesn't respond to what you think about doing, it responds to what you actually do. That's why this very moment matters more than any moment before it. The quantum field is watching the signal you send right now. Will you slide back into old patterns, treating this video like just another piece of content? Or will you declare to yourself, to the universe, and to everyone witnessing that you're done looping, done waiting, done doubting, and ready to step into your role as a conscious creator? Here's how you lock this in. 1. Comment below with the declaration that seals your shift. Write these exact words. I choose my reality. Don't explain, don't justify, just declare. That single act creates a quantum imprint that the field will echo back to you. 2. Hit subscribe right now, not as a casual gesture, but as a conscious alignment. Subscribing is you tethering your consciousness to a network of souls who are breaking free together. It's your signal that you're not doing this alone. You're part of the wave. 3. Smash the like button and share this video. This isn't about algorithms, it's about amplification. Every like, every share multiplies the resonance of this frequency, pulling more awakening souls into the field we're building together. The truth is, you're not just a viewer, you're a participant in a planetary shift, and the universe has been waiting for pioneers like you to step forward. This is your initiation. This is your activation. Don't let hesitation steal this moment. Don't let the old paradigm pull you back into passivity. You've felt the resonance in your bones. You've seen the synchronicities. You've sensed the urgency. This is your line in the sand. So comment it now. I choose my reality. Subscribe, like, share. Do it not for me, not for the channel, but for the version of you who's been waiting to break through. Because once you take this action, once you declare it publicly, the quantum field responds instantly. And from this moment on, nothing will ever be the same.